Starring amongst others, Mila Kunis, Kate McKinnon, Justin Theroux, Gillian Anderson and Sam Heughan. Directed by Susanna Fogel off of a screenplay that she wrote alongside David Isaacson. This is my review for The Spy Who Dumped Me. The Spy Who Dumped Me is the story of Audrey, played by Mila Kunis, who's dumped by her boyfriend Drew. She doesn't really know why. She soon finds out, though, that he is in fact a spy, and she's given the task, along with her best friend, of delivering a statue that has something inside it to Europe. On the way, they're chased by lots of people who seem to want to kill them and get their hands on whatever it is they actually have. So this movie is billed as an action comedy of sorts, but what surprised me the most about it was how much it lent into the action side of things. Like, this is, a lot of the time, a really good action movie. There's some really impressive stunt work going on here. There's some incredibly good levels of violence. Like, it got a lot more violent than I thought it was going to going into it. It never feels like it holds back at all. Like, we'll see lots of blood. We'll see lots of people getting killed in horrible ways. It doesn't shy away from that angle of it at all. And as I say, that really surprised me because I was expecting this to be much more of a comedy than I was an action. And it totally went completely the opposite way. Which does mean at the same time that the comedy side of things doesn't really come to life all that often. There are moments here or there that are funny. There are some odd lines that are dropped in that did make me laugh. But overall, it doesn't seem to nail it when it comes to the comedy side of things. And that's a bit of a shame, because I did go into this... Well, I wasn't expecting an action sort of movie. I wasn't expecting to go in and see that kind of film. I wanted to go in and see a comedy, because that's what it's billed as being. And it doesn't really nail that. As I say, it doesn't miss the mark entirely. But quite a lot of the comedic moments they fall flat. It does help The Spy Who Dumped Me, though. There's a couple of very likeable leads at the centre of this. Mila Kunis, I always like. I always think she's very, very good at whatever she does, really. She even makes something like Jupiter Ascending almost watchable. Almost watchable, not quite. And she's very good in this too. She always seems like somebody who's out of her depth. And she very much is out of her depth. The character doesn't really know what she's doing here, but yet she is able to hold her own at the same time. But Kunis is able to play it in a way that you can see that she's panicking, that she's scared, that she doesn't really know what she's doing too much. She's just kind of flying by the skin of her teeth in everything that she's doing. Kate McKinnon, on the other hand, for some reason with her, she seems to tread this line for me of being very, very likeable and funny, while also being incredibly irritating and annoying. It's like she doesn't know when to kind of pull back on certain occasions. And there's one bit in particular that I think sums that up the best for me, and it's in the trailer. It's when she's kind of doing this strut in some kind of outfit, and you see why she's doing it later in the film, but it's just this face that she pulls that's just so over the top and so unnecessary. And that's my issue with Kate McKinnon, is that she doesn't seem to see where the line is, where something's funny and where it just becomes too much. She seems to quite often just kind of overstep a little bit. But for the most part, I did like her in this. The double act of the two of them, Kunis and McKinnon, they're great together. They are the perfectly cast people, I think, for this, because the chemistry between them is so strong that even when the film's having a lot of its weaker moments, it's still pulled up a little bit more just by how well the two of them seem to get on and how well the two of them come across together on the screen. So, good casting for them, and yeah, it's just a few issues I have with McKinnon and her performance, not just in this, but in general. I just wish she'd just kind of hold back, just rein it in just slightly. It's just a shame that overall The Spy Who Dumped Me didn't seem to know what it wanted to be. I mentioned that it kind of falls more action than it does comedy, but there are moments where the action is so violent and so kind of real. Like, some of this does feel like real violence, where they're trying to throw jokes in as well, and it doesn't quite land. It just seems like the script is kind of trying to go in two different directions, and it just needed somebody to come on and just kind of iron out those little details and just kind of hone in on what sort of film this needed to be. Because there's a good film in here somewhere, and there are moments where it does come through. There are moments where this is a very enjoyable film, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel like a cohesive story overall. It just feels like a lot of different directions that it's trying to go in, and it just can't pick one. And the actual story itself, when it comes to the villains as well, seems very, very messy. Like, it seems like there's twists and turns thrown in just because this is meant to be some sort of spy movie and we're meant to have these twists and turns. And I agree that they are integral to a lot of these type of films, but it needs to feel that they're there for a reason, and it doesn't in this. It just feels like there's left turns just because they needed to have some kind of twist in there. It would have been nicer if it was more streamlined and more cohesive, and if it just knew what it was doing. There is one villain that I really liked, though, and I'm probably going to really mess up her name. Nadezha? I think it's Nadezha. But she plays sort of like a hit woman. She's a gymnast, and she's out to kill the two main characters. And she's a lot of fun. She's one of the highlights in this for me. She's very, very sinister, very, very creepy, but just the performance is so good that she's, I think, one of my favourite things in the movie. And there's an amazing sequence as well with her on kind of a high-rise on a beam during a circus act that's just really fun. Really, really fun. So yeah, there are good things about The Spy Who Dumped Me, but it's very messy as an overall product, I think. It could have just done with just someone pointing it in the right direction, having it stick a tone, stick a theme, and just going with that, rather than just trying to do too much, which is what it feels like here. I'm going to give The Spy Who Dumped Me a 7 out of 10. Have you seen The Spy Who Dumped Me yet? If so, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And what's your favourite action comedy movie as well? Let me know that too. Hit like, hit subscribe if you did enjoy this video. More reviews coming as well. More TV stuff coming as well too. If you want to get in touch on Twitter, you can do. I'm on there @JoeJulians. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.